Thank you very much. This talk is about Intellij idea, the idea that we all love. I used to be an Eclipse man, but I switched to Intellij in an assignment because we were 3 people and 2 people were using Intellij, and I was the only one using Eclipse. And to avoid false diffs caused by code formatting, I switched to Intellij, and I never looked back. I have some tips to show you, some features in Intellij that not all people know about. And I'll show you, and I'll do some demonstrations. First, Community Edition or Ultimate Edition. There is a free version, but I recommend Ultimate Edition because you will get stuff that's definitely worth it. I'll browse over a few things that are only in Ultimate Edition, but I'll just blink over them very, very fast because they are not going to be presented in this talk. Everything is described on JetBrains website, so go look it up for yourself. This one is a favorite of mine, detection of duplicated code. I don't know how it does it, but it does. Some of my favorites. The database tool. It's sold as a standalone IDE called DataGrip, but it's also available as a plugin to IDEA Ultimate Edition, and it will give you a full-featured database IDE for all dialects, including Amazon specific ones and so on. I also like to use the Git plugins. They are free. You can use them in the community edition as well. And there's also GitHub plugin, which is quite new. I have become a big fan of it. It saves a lot of time since we use GitHub in our assignment at Discovery. I'll show a couple of bits about the container support, Docker and Kubernetes. We do microservices development at Discovery, and we use a lot of containers all the time for microservice, for infrastructure and stuff like that. I can show you some things to make that easier. And also, I'm going to show you a little bit about this HTTP client, which is built into IDEA. It's a lightweight alternative to Postman. It has some nice features. And now to the demos. Sorry for that one. I'll open Intellij, of course, and I'll start with my pet project, which is called CodeFast, which is a tool for detecting dead code in production. I'm going to demonstrate the database tool. It is located here to the right, and you start by defining some data sources and enter some data. I won't do that because it's done already. And these data sources are stored as files under the .idea folder, so you can share them with your team. I have this local database here in the local host. It's a MariaDB running in Docker. I have this. These are the tables. And as a newcomer to the project, you want to see what's this about. And I do a quick diagram. And okay, these are my tables. This is how they are related. Things like that. Really, really, really nice, especially in a microservice architecture where we have like hundreds of services and you need to do something in one of them, do some fault isolation or something. You can expand this tree on a table and you can see all the columns, the data types, the primary key, the ID is a primary key here. It seems to be an auto increment, synthetic primary key, but you have also this identity a unique index called IX application identity, which prevents duplicate rows and so on. Yes. And if I want to see just a single table, I can also do a diagram on that and get a specialized diagram for what's related to only this table. And you can see that the application has a foreign key to the customer, which has a foreign key to the price plan. Easy as that. And if I want to see what's inside this table, I just press F4. F4 is the general go-to button in Intellij, used also here. And you can see I have a number of rows, not many, and that's because I have this restriction here. I remove that, I can see everything. I want to filter again, customer, I have tab completion, of course. That's one, and so on. If I want to change something, I just do that. And I press Control Enter for commit. That's how I change things in the table. And if I want to see things about the row, I can just press Control Q for quick info, like always in Intellij. You can see that it references another row in another table, and it's referenced by another row in another table, and so on. You get a quick view of this particular row by doing that.
I'm suspecting we didn't see that overlay window just now with the
You didn't see
Control Q.
You didn't
I don't think
that.
the screen share captured that part, unfortunately.
Oh, too bad. Then you have to do it yourself when you get back home. Control Q. I have tested it. Oh, never mind. Yes, and I can also do things like find usage. If I select a certain column in the database structure, find usages, and Intellij will look in its general index for everything and find, okay, we have this column and we have this Java code here that is doing things with this column. This illustrates that we have a two-way connection between the database schema and the application code. This Java class is connected to the database schema. So I actually have tab completion here. I can do things. It knows that it should be one of these two tables. I can do things like edit this SQL fragment. I get a specialized editor for SQL code, despite it was a string literal inside a Java method. But I can do things like formatting here, and it's reflected back. As you can see up here, it has been changed. If I change back here, I undo, it will change back. Really, really nice. And I can also do control click, like finding the definition of this field. I selected another one than name because name appears everywhere, so it takes a long time. But this location no version is here. I can do find usages, and I can see the Java, and I can see the actual DDL statement that created that one, and the actual SQL script, the flyaway migration that created it initially. Let's see what we can do. I can also do things like, if I go back to this method, I can do things like, I can right click and can do explain plan to see, okay, how will the database execute this statement? This is a really, really simple statement, so not much information here, but this is a wrapper for the database function for analyzing execution plans. But I can also do a real execution. Can I really execute it? And it has a parameter. I'll close that again and can make it wider so you can see it has a question mark here. I want to execute it. Okay, what value do we want for that question mark, the custom ID? I enter 27, which is a good number, and I get the result here. So it's really, really two-way connected to your Java code. That was the database tool. Now I'm going to show you how to work with Git. And for that purpose, I have prepared some demos of a friend of mine has been kind enough to record some things. He usually used the command line for working with Git. It could look like this. Can you see it? Did you see that?
Yep.
Great. Well, you are familiar with that kind of work. You have control. You can navigate to GitHub and see the commit inside GitHub web interface and things. Another one, this is an interactive rebase where he squashes a few commits together. Kind of magic, does things, and rewrites the history. Yeah, you have seen this perhaps. I'll show you how to do it in Git instead. I'll go back to my Intellij and I'll open another project. This is one of my client's projects at Discovery. I have permission to use this data. It contains no business secrets, so it's fine. First of all, I want to do a Git pull. Bam. Control T. No more typing. I want to switch to another branch. I have them here at my fingertip. I select to check that out. I don't have to remember the branch name. I can just browse or search. Okay, we have a branch here. What's the difference to the master branch compared with current? Okay, we see we have something changed in the master branch and something changed in this feature branch. Okay, Control D as diff, as always in Intellij, F7 to jump between the diffs. Turned out to be, can use that one. Some logs were changed. I think this is an improvement to git log command, and I hope you agree. And I want to work with, I want to do some work. I switch back to master. I check out that the markdown navigator thing is not part of the project. I can do things like deleting that local branch. I don't want it in my workspace anymore. But I don't want to delete the tracked branch. Someone is working on that branch, so I don't want to delete it. But I want to create a new branch for myself. I call it crisp day demo Olle, like that. And I select some kind of event handler. Here I want to change some logging. This debug here, I don't want it to be debug. I want it to be info, like that. Okay, immediately I get the diff here below. I can see that this particular file has been changed. It has this diff and so on. I want to commit it. I do that. Commit changed logging. I can do things at the same time as I do the commit. I can reformat code, rearrange, optimize, blah, 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 a lot of things, but I don't do that now. Yes, now I have committed this, but not pushed it. I can see that here, there's a diff. That one is only in my local branch. It's not somewhere in master yet. I can see what it contains, this single change. That name was not good. I want to change, rephrase the commit comment. You can do this with the command line, but it's not easy. You can do it, but it's cumbersome. It wasn't good. I changed my mind. I revert this one. Revert commit. And what happens is that you get a new change with the reverse. Like that. I commit that too. And it has suggested the comment, the commit message explaining what to do. I commit it, and I end up with two things here. Let's squash them to one. Squash commits, change the comments, demo, I typed demo instead. Ta-da. Okay, I want to push this. It's on a branch, so rebasing failed. Sorry. It was something that happened. It didn't like my squash for some reason. I'm not a Git expert, by the way, so if someone of you can explain what happened, please do that in the chat. Okay, I have did a change. I did a change. I want to push that and make a pull request. So I make no, I'll do a change, one more change because we have reverted. I change another one. Info, and I commit that. I reuse one of the old comments. You don't have to type everything if you have it in memory. And now I want to push it. I push like that on the crisp day demo branch here. And I want to create a pull request. GitHub, create pull request. Changed some logging. Okay, here we go. Successfully created pull request. I have a link here, I can click it. And this is the GitHub version of it. I can do the review here if I want, if someone else was to review this pull request, but now I'm single developer in this team, so I'll review it myself. And for that purpose, I go to the pull requests here. Sorry, I go to GitHub, view pull requests. Okay, here it is. Crisp day demo Olle is the branch name. I enter that pull request. I can see the commits. I can see the changes. I can diff them. F7, as always in Intellij. It was only one single thing. And I can comment. Shouldn't this be warning? A warning. Control Enter, like that. And you can see the command here. I can do a reply, like you do when you have this pull request conversation with people. Don't think so. I reply to myself like that. And if I want to, I can merge or squash merge this pull request, but I choose to close it instead. This is a demo. I don't want to pollute their repo with my crap. So I just close it like that. And I have the opportunity to reopen it. This is a very simple case. We had only one pending pull request created by me, and it's red now, which means it's closed. I can refresh that list. Nothing, because the only one is closed. And I'll switch back to the master branch like that. And I kill my feature branch. And this time I delete the tracked branch as well. So no pollution in the GitHub repo. That was my demo of Git and GitHub. I can also show you how simple it is to create a new project from sources, new project from version control, GitHub. I'm already logged in. You can see that my beautiful avatar here. You can log in either with username and password or these personal tokens that you can produce in GitHub. I'm already logged in, so I don't want to do that. In Crisp, we have a DNS server. I want to change that, but I don't want to overwrite the already checked out one. So I change the name and I clone it. Intellij shows the README file if it finds it, and Intellij thinks that I should use a better renderer for Markdown, so I do that. Okay, that's the alternative would have been to go to GitHub, look up the project, copy the URL, go to the command line, do git clone and paste, blah, blah, blah. A lot of stuff. Here I just, selected. That was a new project from VCS. Next demo, I want to show you that HTTP client. And I'll once again use the VMS exporter. And this time I will start the application. And by the way, these run configurations, at least some of them, are stored in Git. And I think that's a really nice thing. You can share these things with the team. So the next one that onboards this project has just one button click to start the application with things that work in localhost. This is a Kotlin project. It's compiling it. Soon enough, it will be started. There you go. There it is. I want to show you some stored HTTP requests that we have in this project. This is a Spring Boot project, and it has an actuator endpoint where you can do things. You can, for instance, see the log levels, all of them. And you can also, you can do basically anything that you can do with HTTP. And the format is quite nice. It looks like HTTP on the wire. Get, the URL, the headers, blank line, and the body. let's see if I have an example with the body. Okay, here we have one. In this case, a post, content type, accept, a vendor-specific token with a placeholder, blank line, and then the XML body. I can try this. This goes to an external service called freewill.tv, which is about ad insertions into video streams. I try it with one of my environments that I've defined here in http client.env.json. I have two profiles called test and local, and the freewill token in one is valid and the other one is undefined. No, sorry, not present. So I go back to this one and I try to post with this local. And I get a forbidden because the freewill token is invalid or missing. I do it again with the other profile, 200, okay. The nice thing with this is that these files .http, they are actual text files. You can store them in your project. If you happen to run Spring Boot and Spring MVC, this one, the editor will know about your endpoints. So you will get tab completion and everything. And you also have other nice things. You can, if you have examples in curl, like you do, the documentation for Elasticsearch, for instance, the API documentation is mostly described as curl snippets. So you can paste them into here. And they propose this one. This is a default example. So I just use that. And I try and I run it like that.
Olle, I hate to interrupt. We are out of time.
Okay.
Do you have any final remarks?
Yeah, I'll show you. I skipped the Docker one. I'll go back to the presentation and give you the final slides recap. The database tool, dialect and schema aware editing. It's connection between application code and database schema. Git and GitHub, you don't have to use the command line. You offload the short-term memory, and you can use the same old keyboard shortcuts that you always use. And it's really, really nice. And it's quite efficient way to handle pull requests. I've used it for a couple of weeks now, and I love it. Container support, I skipped that. HTTP client, it's a lightweight alternative to Postman, and your requests, they live with the code, which is nice. Postman is somewhere else. You can have parameters for like head authorization. You can also hook in JavaScript for handling the responses. I didn't show that, but you can do that. And it's the sweet spot is exploratory testing of REST APIs, I should say. That was my presentation. Thank you. Questions, feel free, and I'll answer in the break before the closing session.
Thank you so much, Olle. Really great talk.